Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I filmed this look for you guys using bright yellow, which was super fun. This is just a really pretty spring look. If you're interested in using a pop of color in your eyes, I think this is a fun way to go about it. If you guys want to see me use some more colors, I would love to play around with them and test things out, give you guys a nice look, and also it would just be fun to play in some bright colors. So if you guys are interested in that, just leave me a comment down below. Let me know you guys are into bright colors, or if you guys want to see something more nude and natural and wearable, let me know down below as well. I would love to get that out for you guys. But today I just did this look for you guys using bright yellow, which I think is fun. So if you want to see how I did this, and then just keep watching.
So crazy.
Drink water, friends. So to get started today, I'm first going to go in with my Hard Candy eye primer, and I'm just going to prime my lid with this. This is going to keep the shadows on all day. I think it alleviates a little bit of creasing that I have on my eyelids, and it's just going to create a smooth, even base for the eyeshadow. To cover up any of the veininess that I have on my eyelids, I'm going to go in with my Master Conceal concealer in the shade Light, and then I'm going to take my Morphe M173 brush. I'm just going to distribute that all over my eyelid. You can see my cute little puppy. Hi, puppy. Oh. And you can just see how full coverage this concealer is. That's why I really like to use this on my eyelids whenever I'm doing a dramatic look, because it really covers up like all the veininess that I have. And I just find it's like the most full coverage concealer from the drugstore. Then to set that concealer in place, I'm going to be going in with my Morphe 350 matte palette, and I'm going to take the lightest shade just on this big e.l.f. concealer brush, and I'm just going to pack that all over my lid to set that concealer. Then to start working in the crease colors, I'm going to first go in with this shade right here, and I'm going to take this on a Morphe M433 brush. This is a natural hair brush, which I really like to use for my transition shades because it's going to apply the color very soft and smooth. And I'm just going to look straight into a mirror. My mirror is over here, and I'm going to start applying this color right on above the crease area where you can see it when my eye is open. Just going to start off with a little bit of product and build up. I'm also taking this color right underneath my brow on this inner portion, and I'm bringing it all the way out to the outer portion of my brow as well. So I'm taking it across the whole entire crease area. And I'm building this up pretty pigmented because I want it to be noticeable even though it's just a transition shade. And then I'm going to go in with this shade in the palette, and I'm going to be taking this on a Coastal Scents in 06 brush, and I'm going to be picking that up right on the tip of the brush, and I'm going to again look into my mirror, and I'm going to go just a little bit below that transition shade, still in the crease area, and I'm looking into my mirror so that way I can see what colors are going to be seen whenever I'm face on, rather than putting the color into the crease and then whenever you open your eye you can't even see it. It's completely lost. So basically I want my makeup crease to be a little bit higher than my actual crease so that way you can see it whenever my eyes are open. And again, I'm taking this completely right underneath the brow here and all the way out to the tail of my brow as well. Also, you can see that with my eye shape, because my eyes are very round, I'm trying to keep this line a little bit more straight rather than arching up here with my brow bone, if that makes sense. I want to keep my line pretty straight into the crease right here. So I'm not doing too much of this motion whenever I'm blending. I'm kind of just going back and forth in a straight line. And then to further deepen that up, I'm going to be going in with this shade right here, and I'm going to be taking this on a Morphe Y22 little pencil definer brush. And again, I'm doing the exact same thing, keeping this even lower, and I'm also going to go really super light with this because I want it to be nice and easy to blend out. So I'm really going to do a light hand and keep this really, really low. Then I'm going to use that brush I just used, and I'm going to very softly start blending that together. And then whenever my eyes are open, you can still see that crease. Also, I'm not rounding out the edges to match my lower lash line because I am going to pop on some liner that is going to connect with that crease shade. So I'm going to go back in with that very first transition shade, and I'm just going to kind of deepen that up because I want there to be that nice warm color, a little bit more noticeable. Okay, so now we can move on to the very fun part of this eyeshadow look, which is why I created it in the first place, is this really pretty bright yellow color. So for this, I'm going to be using this tiny little sample size eyeshadow that I got. This is from Coastal Scents. It doesn't have the name on it, I believe. Oh, let's see. I can find out. This is actually in the shade Solar Flare. So I got this little sample that had all of these colors, and this is the one I'm going to be using. I also know that if you're interested in yellow eyeshadow, there is one from Wet n Wild that comes in like a 6 quad that has a nice bright yellow. I have never tested the pigment, but Wet n Wild shadows are usually pretty good, so I would test that one out if you're looking for a bright yellow shadow. There's also a little palette from NYX that has a ton of different bright colors, and that one might be another good one. I've just never tried them, and this is just the yellow I had on deck, so I'm going to be using this today. Again, this is from Coastal Scents and it is in the shade Solar Flare. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using my Wet n Wild brush like this, and I'm just going to really dig into the shadow and get as much on my brush as possible, really pick up a lot of product, and then I'm going to start by stippling this on. I did have to layer the shadow quite a bit to get it nice and pigmented, but I got it pretty good. The key to this is just using a lot of shadow. That's also why I did my eyes first, so if there's any fallout, it's not a big deal. We can go back in and clean that up afterwards. And then I'm just being careful around that crease shade so I'm not blending too much into it. We will go back and clean that up anyway, so it's not too big of a deal, but I want to keep it nice and low onto the lid. And then once you get to this inner portion, you can see how light it is for my concealer. I don't mind just taking that up a little bit on that portion as well. And then we'll blend that out. So then I'm just going to use this Coastal Scents N06 brush. Again, this is a clean one from my crease shade one that I used, but just any fluffy brush. And I'm just going to lightly go over all the edges. And then I'm going to go back in with some more yellow shadow and just really make sure it's nice and pigmented. And then I'm going to be going back in with that crease shade. This was the darkest shade, but there's not much product left on it. This is the Y22 brush, and I am just going to go back over the crease and really define that and clean it up a bit. And then for a little pop on the inner corner, I'm going to be going in with my Morphe and Kathleen Lights little palette, and I'm going to pick up the lightest shade right here. I'm going to use that same yellow brush that we used, so that way there's still a little bit of yellow product on it, but I'm going to pick up that light shade and I'm going to pop this just into the corner, and it's really just going to be like a light yellow shimmer when it's all said and done. I'm going to pop on a little bit of winged eyeliner, and I'm going to be using this e.l.f. cream eyeliner in a brown shade. Compared to the yellow, I didn't want it to be like too bumblebee-ish. I wanted it to be nice and soft. And I'm going to be using this little angle definer brush. It doesn't have a name or anything on it, so I'm sorry about that. But you can just use any sort of angled eyeliner brush. So my guide for this eyeliner is going to be connecting to that crease shade. So I just drew a line from the outer portion of my eyelid up to that crease. And then I'm going to take it about halfway and go back to my lid with that. This eyeliner did turn out a little bit thicker than this one, but honestly, with falsies, you're not going to be able to tell, so I'm just going to leave it. I feel like that always happens whenever I try to do eyeliner. They never match, and I just don't feel like ruining the other side also. So I'm just going to curl my eyelashes a little bit. And then the mascara I'm going to be using, I'm just going to use a little bit of this L'Oreal Double Extend Mascara. I love this stuff because it is tubing. Basically, this mascara forms tubes around your eyelashes, which just makes it so easy to remove. You just splash your eyes with a little bit of water and you can just kind of roll the mascara right off. It just makes it so much easier, in my opinion. So I'm just applying a little bit of this because I want my falsies to blend in. And then today I'm going to be using the Salon Perfect Demi Wispy lashes. And I'm going to actually show you guys how I apply my lashes today since I already have this side on. I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys what I do. So I like to take some tweezers. These are just e.l.f. tweezers. And I pinch my lashes in them just slightly, enough to hold it, of course. And then I'm going to be using this black duo eyelash glue today. And I really like this because it comes in a wand, which I just find super easy to apply to the lashes, basically. So I just apply a little bit of this eyelash glue across the whole entire lash band, and I put a lot on the inner and outer corner because I find that those are always the first two places to pop up. So I just put that on there, and then I wait about 30 seconds A trick to putting on eyelashes is that you want it to be nice and tacky. You definitely want to give it time for the glue to set, so that way whenever you go in and try to apply the lashes, if they're too wet, they will like slip and slide all over your eyelid. So I just like to kind of like fan them and blow on them a little bit and just wait for them to become nice and tacky. I promise this will make putting on eyelashes like so easy. If the glue is already tacky, it's very, very easy to pop them on. So once I've waited about 30 seconds and the glue is nice and tacky, I'm going to take a mirror and I'm going to look basically down, really close my eye almost, and I like to set the lash band as close to the bottom of my eyelashes as possible. And I focus on the very center because that's going to be the first place I want to glue down. And I kind of push that center in. You can see that the outer portion and the inner portion are still completely free of my eye. Then I go on the outer edge with my tweezers and I just push the band right into my lashes on that outer corner as well and give it a little secure push with my fingers. And then I do the exact same thing on the inner portion. So I just grab this inner corner, push the band right into my lash line, and then reinforce it with my fingers just to make sure the whole entire band has a nice secure spot on my lashes. So to move on to the eyebrows today, I'm going to start combing them out with my L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer in the shade Brunette. And I like to comb them up, especially in this inner corner portion. I like to comb them up so I can see where my sparse areas are. Then taking the little pencil side, I'm going to start by creating a straight line on this inner portion. Then once I have that straight line, I like to go to my tail and fill in all the areas of my tail that are a little bit more sparse and just thicken them up. I also create a line on the top portion of my brow that kind of matches the line followed on my bottom. And fill in all the sparse areas with just little tiny short strokes. And then I go back to the beginning portion and I start doing the lines upward. I find that this is most natural to my hairs, since my hairs travel upward. I'm going to mimic the exact same thing that they do. To prime my face, I'm going to be using my Milani Prime Shield Primer. This is mattifying and pore minimizing, which I really like. So the way I like to use this is I like to rub it between my fingers and then pat it into my T-zone area where I have the most pores. Then for foundation, I'm going to be using my Wet n Wild Photofocus in the shade Buff Bisque. I love this foundation. I wasn't sure about it for a while, but I've made up my mind that I just love it and I have been using it non-stop. And then I'm just going to use this flat top brush to stipple this into my skin. I feel like this gives me the most full coverage finish whenever I use a brush like this to blend in my foundation. So then I'm going to go in with my concealer, and today I'm going to be using that same concealer that I used on my eyelids, just this Maybelline concealer, and I'm going to just apply it to my little ring finger and apply this underneath my eyes. Again, this is nice and full coverage, so it's really going to cover up all the dark circles that you might have underneath your eyes. I'm just going to pat this out with my finger for now, and then I'll go back in with a sponge to smooth it out. Also, I'm applying this in a triangle shape underneath my eyes, so the big side of the triangle is right here, and I'm bringing this down onto kind of the apples of my cheek as well. And then just right over top of that, I'm just going to use that sponge to just blend everything out and make sure it's nice and smooth. To set underneath my eyes, I'm going to use this Flower Beauty loose powder in the shade Translucent. I forgot this was really bad for traveling. If you travel a lot, this is not the powder for you. It just spilled everywhere. Oh my gosh. Okay, well we have a nice big pile on my hand from trying to open that, so I'm just going to use that on a little brush and I'm going to pat this underneath my eyes. This stuff is so finely milled that it literally sinks into all your creases and crevices and smooths them out in a beautifully way. But as you can see, it is super powdery and this will give you flashbacks. So if you're going to be taking pictures, don't use this translucent powder. It is so beautiful for everyday life. Like, it is gorgeous underneath the eyes, especially because it is so finely milled. But in pictures, it is going to create a nice flashback. I'm just going to blend out the rest of it that's kind of excess underneath my eyes, and I'm just going to pat that part all over my face and make sure there's no white cast underneath my eyes that you can see. So for bronzer today, I'm going to be going into my Makeup Revolution palette in the shade All About Bronzed. And I'm going to use this shade right here to bronze my face today. And I'm just using this on a really big Wet n Wild brush. I also like to take this down my neck just to make sure the color matches everywhere. Then for blush, I'm going to be using my e.l.f. Blush Quad, and I'm going to go in with, actually, I'm just going to go in with this shade today, and I'm going to be using this on a Morphe E4 brush. Just picking up a little bit, tapping off the excess, and kind of rubbing the excess on my wrist, and then lightly going in to my cheekbones and the apples of my cheeks. For highlight today, I'm going to be going in with this Wet n Wild highlighter in the shade Precious Petals. I've seen this everywhere online. It's supposed to be a really good highlighter, so I'm excited to try this out today. And I'm going to be using a Morphe Y14 brush for this. I'm just going to swirl this around in here, pick up a lot of it, and apply it to the tops of my cheeks. I'm going to apply this a little bit to the edges of my forehead, very, very lightly. I hope you guys can see that glow. It's really pretty. It's not as intense as some of the pictures I've seen. It is pretty intense, I guess, but some of the pictures I've seen have made it like wet looking, and I'm not necessarily getting that look, but it is really pretty. And I love the color because it's not too pale. It's really not that white shine, but it's not gold either. It's kind of a light pink, as you guys can tell. And it's just really, really pretty, especially if you are fair and you don't like that white look. This is really pretty, actually. Ooh, I love that on the Cupid's bow. I'll also apply this down the bridge of my nose as well. You guys can see that kind of white cast. You have to be so careful with that powder, just to make sure that there's not a white cast left on your skin after that. I do love to use that powder as well and then set it with a colored powder as well on top, and I think it turns out so beautiful. You just have to be super careful, but the actual texture that that powder leaves underneath your eyes and whatnot is so beautiful, so that's why I love it. But you just have to be so careful to make sure you wipe away all the excess. So to finish up my lower lash line, I'm actually really loving just kind of like the top look of this, because I think it's kind of a little like 70s pinup girl in a way, kind of just like a daisy flower girl that's really cute. I'm loving it, but I am going to apply just a little bit of eyeshadow to the bottom lash line as well. I'm just going to go in with that little like pencil definer that we use. This is the Morphe Y22, and I'm going to run this just on like the outer fourth part of my eye, just connected to the outer wing on both sides. And I'm just kind of using the excess product that was on it because it did have that darkest shade, and it's going to create a little bit of shadow and just kind of connect the two. And I'm going to use that exact same mascara, and I'm going to work this on my bottom lashes. And then to finish off the lips, I'm going to first go in with this Wet n Wild lip pencil gel lip liner in the shade Bare to Commit. This is really pretty. It's just a nude color. And I absolutely love the formula of these gel lip liners. If you are interested in a lip liner, these are so amazing. They're like completely one of my favorites. Just like that. You can see that it's super nude and just really, really pretty. And then over the top of that, I'm just going to be going in with this e.l.f. gloss. e.l.f. This is actually an Essence gloss. My bad, guys. It doesn't have a name on it. I'm so sorry. It's completely rubbed off, but it's just in this shade. So if you see this shade, this is the one I'm using. And this is the finished look. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I know it's a little bit different and it is using some bright colors, which I'm personally not used to, but I hope that you guys enjoyed this and you like this look for spring. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.